Hey kids, you're welcome to our class today. It's our English Studies class, and this is Mrs. Patrick. We are talking about a part of speech that helps us to make our speech or our writings clearer, less awkward, and smoother. Words that belong to this part of speech makes it very possible for us to avoid needless repetitions and will make sentences that are very easy to understand. I am talking about pronouns. That's the topic we're going to talk about today. Pronouns. We're talking about pronouns today. As the name implies, you see that this part of speech has something in common with nouns. Pronouns. At the end of the class today, you are going to learn a whole lot about pronouns. What are pronouns? Pronouns are words that we use in place of nouns or noun phrases. A pronoun is a word that we use in place of or instead of a noun or a noun phrase in a sentence. I will show you some examples because we are going to use these examples in sentences subsequently. I, you, she, he, they, this, who, etc. are some of the common pronouns that we use when we are making sentences. I is a pronoun. We use it in place of a noun or a noun phrase. You is another pronoun. She, he, they, this, who are all examples of common pronouns that we use when we are writing or speaking. I'll show you how to use some of these pronouns in sentences. I have this sentence here. Edward gave the shoes to Chika. Edward gave the shoes to Chika. The very first thing to do for you to be able to use pronouns is to identify the nouns or the noun phrases in the sentence that you want to replace, that you want to change to pronouns. And that's what we have done here. We've identified Edward, the shoes, and Chika. Now, we've replaced Edward with he because Edward is male. And we've replaced the shoes with them because they are plural. And we have replaced Chika with her because Chika is female. There are two ways to do this. In the first sentence, the person listening to me already know what I'm talking about. The person already understands what Edward gave to Chika, so I can just say he gave them to her. But in the second sentence, notice that I did not change the shoes. Why? It is the first time I'm using that noun in the conversation. So you don't just start using pronouns. You would have used the noun the first time, such that when you now replace the noun with a pronoun, your listener will understand what you are saying. Let's go back to our definition of pronouns. We said a pronoun is a word that takes the place of a noun or a noun phrase in a sentence. What is a noun phrase? We've discussed what a noun is in a previous class, and I want to talk about a noun phrase now. A noun phrase is a group of words that do the work of a noun in a sentence. A noun phrase is a group of words that do the work of a noun in a sentence. As the name suggests, it's a type of phrase. Don't forget that a phrase is a group of words that do not make a complete meaning because they do not have a finite verb. Maybe in a subsequent class we're going to talk about that, but have it in mind that a noun phrase does the work of a noun in a sentence. What do I mean? I have this sentence to explain what I mean. The big bag is in the house. The big bag is in the house. Now I need you to concentrate on the group of words that I underlined. The big bag. The noun, if you want to talk about a noun as a single word, is bag. But if you look at this, you see that you have the big attached to it. That is to tell you that a noun phrase is made up of a noun and a modifier or an adjective trying to explain the noun, the big bag. Now, we are trying to say that a pronoun takes the place of either a noun, either you use this bag as a sentence as a noun, or you use it as a noun phrase. The big bag is in the house. We are trying to the point we're trying to make here is that when you are replacing the noun phrase in a sentence, you're not just going to change the noun as in the second change here. The big it is in the house. It does not make sense. We'll just change the noun phrase, which is the big bag, and we'll have it is in the house. It makes a better meaning. Here is the second example. The white cat came into Mr. Chris' home. The white cat came into Mr. Chris' home. We have the white cat and we have Mr. Chris' home. They are both noun phrases. Look at how it has been changed, incorporating the use of pronouns. It came into his home. It came into his home. We want to go back to that definition again. We said a pronoun is a word that takes the place of a noun or a noun phrase in a sentence. I'm sure you are able to explain what a noun phrase is now. It is also important for us to know that the nouns that pronouns take their places in a sentence is called antecedents. 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 Right. The nouns that pronouns take their place in a sentence are called antecedents. Now, I have a sentence to explain what I mean by an antecedent. An antecedent, first of all, is something logically that comes before another. So a noun usually comes before a pronoun because the pronoun is a replacement. So those nouns that the pronoun take their places are called antecedents. Look at this sentence. John killed his dog. This sentence, if we want to make use of nouns strictly, could be John killed John's dog. That would be a needless repetition, and we have to use his to take the place of John in the sentence. So John is the antecedent that his, as the pronoun, has replaced. There is a rule in the use of pronouns in sentences, and the rule is that the pronoun and the antecedent must be in line. The pronoun and its antecedents must harmonize, they must rhyme, they must be in line. What do I mean by that? If the antecedent is singular, the pronoun that you are using in place of it has to be singular. As in the case of this, Jerry sings a lot. This is the antecedent or the pronoun, and or the noun. The pronoun I'm going to use has to be in the singular form. He sings a lot. On the other hand, if the antecedent is plural, the pronoun taking its place must also be plural. As in this case, I and my mother visited them. I and my mother is plural. They are the subject of the sentence, and then the pronoun taking the place is we, not just a singular one. It has to be a plural one now. We visited them. Do you still remember that a pronoun is a word that takes the place of a noun or a noun phrase in a sentence? Do you remember that when we use pronouns in our speech or in our presentations, it makes our sentences or our speech clearer, less awkward, and smoother? It makes us avoid needless repetitions. Do you remember that a noun phrase is a group of words that do the work of a noun in a sentence? It is also noteworthy that you recall that a noun or nouns that pronouns take their place in a sentence or in sentences are called antecedents. I will allow you to look for comprehensions around you and try to identify the nouns in each sentence and change them to the right pronouns. And that will prepare you for our next class when we are going to talk about the forms of pronouns. See you then.